Hello students, let's start our class. Today, I am going to discuss about the outbreak of the revolution. On 5th May 1789, Louis XVI called together an assembly of the Estates General to pass proposal for the new taxes. The first and the second estate sent 300 representatives each, who were seated in rows facing each other on two sides, while the 600 members of the third estate had to stand at the back. The third estate was represented by its more prosperous and educated members. Peasants, artisans, and women were denied entry to the assembly. However, their grievances and demands were listed in some 40,000 letters which the representatives had brought with them. They declared themselves a national assembly and swore not to disperse till they had drafted a constitution for France that would limit the powers of the monarch. Louis XVI finally accorded recognition to the National Assembly and accepted the principles that his power would from now on be checked by a constitution. On night 4th August 1789, the Assembly passed a decree abolishing the feudal system of obligations and taxes. Members of the clergy too were forced to give up their privileges. Tithes were abolished, and lands owned by the church were confiscated. As a result, the government acquired assets worth at least 2 billion livres. The representatives of the Third Estate were led by Mirabeau and Abbé. Mirabeau was born in a noble family, but was convinced of the need to do away with a society of feudal privileges. He brought out a journal and delivered powerful speeches to the crowd assembled at Versailles. Abbé, originally a priest, wrote an influential pamphlet called "What is the Third Estate?" The National Assembly completed the draft of the Constitution in 1791. Its main object was to limit the powers of the monarch. This power, instead of being concentrated in the hands of one person, were now separated and assigned to different institutions: the legislature, executive, and judiciary. This made France a constitutional monarchy. The Constitution of 1791 vested the powers to make laws in the National Assembly, which was indirectly elected. That is, citizens voted for a group of electors, who in turn chose the Assembly. Not all citizens, however, had the right to vote. Only men above 25 years of age who paid taxes equal to at least 3 days of labor's wage were given the status of active citizens. That is, they were entitled to vote. The remaining men and women were classed as passive citizens. To qualify as an elector and then as a member of the Assembly, a man had to belong to the highest bracket of taxpayers. Dear students, the most important contribution of the Constitution of 1791 was the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen. Men are born and remain free and equal in rights. The aim of every political association is the preservation of the natural and inviolable rights of man. These are liberty, property, security, and resistance to oppression. The source of all sovereignty resides in the nation. No group or individual may exercise authority that does not come from the people. Liberty consists of the power to do whatever is not injurious to others. The law has the right to forbid only actions that are injurious to society. Law is the expression of the general will. All citizens have the right to participate in its formation, personally or through their representatives. All citizens are equal before it. No man may be accused, arrested, or detained except in cases determined by the law. Every citizen may speak, write, and print freely. He must take responsibility for the abuse of such liberty in cases determined by the law. For the maintenance of the public force and for the expenses of administrations, a common tax is indispensable. It must be assessed equally on all citizens in proportion to their means. Since property is a sacred and inviolable right, no one may be deprived of it unless a legally established public necessity requires it. In that case, a just compensation must be given in advance. Now, the situation in France continued to be tense during the following years. Although Louis XVI had signed a constitution, he entered into a secret negotiations with the King of Prussia. Rulers of other neighboring countries too were worried by the developments in France and made plans to send troops to put down the events that had been taking place there since the summer of 1789. So before this could happen, the National Assembly voted in April 1792 to declare war against Prussia and Austria. However, there were many ups and downs in France, and ultimately, under the guidance of the member of Jacobin, the common people of France were able to elect an assembly which came to be known as Convention. On 21st September 1792, it abolished the monarchy and declared France as a republic. As you know, a republic is a form of government where the people elect the government, including the head of the government. There is no hereditary monarchy. Louis XVI was sentenced to death by a court on the charge of treason. On 21st January 1793, he was executed publicly, and the Queen Marie Antoinette met with the same fate shortly after. Thank you, students.